let me illustrate how SMTP works. So we have a mail server, and this is just a regular, we'll just say Exchange server. And I want to drop a mail message off. So I have my little Exchange client down here. My Exchange client is running Outlook, or, you know, heck, it could be my little iTouch, whatever. But it drops a mail message off to my Exchange server. Depending upon the flavor of Exchange server and how it's configured, it could send it to a hub transport server and an edge transport server and all this other stuff. But eventually what happens is it's going to be popping this out via SMTP. Now the trick is that it has to know where to drop the mail message off. And what will typically happen is it'll do a lookup for what's called an MX record, a mail exchanger record. Normally, let's say that my company is Contoso.com. Normally, the Exchange servers will have their MX records in there, but we're going to do something special with SharePoint. And the SharePoint isn't specific to a particular mailbox. It's just going to go into the SharePoint server or out of the SharePoint server. So we're going to have to set up an MX record that identifies the IP address of the server so that we can connect up to the right server. So here is our little SharePoint server here, and we'll make it green for money. Here's a little SharePoint server, and it has been identified by the MX record, so we'll call it SP. And normally when you're dealing with inbound SMTP email, you're not going to require authentication. It's just, hey, I'll take it. However, you want to have what is called an acceptable domain. The acceptable domain says, well, yes, I will accept email for the domain of sharepoint.contoso.com. Because otherwise, if you accept email for everybody, you can become what's called a relay agent, which means that everybody drops their email and you forward it off, and then when they're saying, who's sending out these Viagra ads, it'll have the IP address of your email server, and then you get into all sorts of problems. So acceptable domains means this is the destination for which emails I'll be able to accept. And then you would say, if you're an authenticated user, we will send them to any email address that's out there. So if you want to, for some reason, set up SharePoint to email doug.bass@stormwind.com, for whatever reason, you would still be able to relay that out. So we have to set up the acceptable domains. And then what's going to happen is it's going to take this mail message and it'll put it into a Dropbox to be processed by our SharePoint services. You know, oh, we want to post this into our discussion board or whatever else it is that we have configured. Now your outbound, it's going to be really similar, except it's going to originate from SharePoint and it's going to go to an Exchange SMTP server of some sort. You may have to be authenticated, you may not have to be authenticated. Normally in Exchange you're going to have to be authenticated because they're not just going to take SMTP email messages from anybody. So you have to be authenticated.